I came, Hockey 5 was on the table, promoted for a long period of time, but not activated. I clearly see an important thing in Hockey 5 in a short form. Let's call it just short form. So for me, it's a short form outside, and we have a short form indoor. And I hope and I expect that this within 2-3 years, we will have one format.
Welcome to Studio Hockey.
So welcome everybody. We are joined behind the microphone today by two administrators from the FIH, the International Federation of Hockey. We have with us Thierry Weil, who is the CEO from the FIH. And we have with us Mike Joyce, who is responsible for all development within the international community of hockey. So guys, let's talk about different topics. Let's start with the FIH Pro League, which has been probably the major innovation or the major new item that has been implemented last year. On field, absolutely a success. But what were your feelings about this first FIH Pro League? What went well? What lessons were learned for the future? And then the main question probably will also be, when will it start making money for hockey, so that it can help grow hockey worldwide? Thierry.
Yeah. So to start off, the key first of all, we are extremely happy and proud that we have started the Pro League, to be honest, because I have to admit, when I joined FIH, there were a lot of discussions about the Pro League and the complexity of the Pro League with this massive number of travel, and actually people have to travel around the globe to meet and to play hockey. But this has been extremely beneficial for hockey as a promotion of the sport, because as you know, previously this was always like you had the World Cups, you had 2 World Cups, and you had some events, Champions Trophy events, but not on a regular base, which a lot of broadcasters said the same thing. If I put hockey on, but I don't have hockey on a regular base, which means I have to put hockey on 1 month and then nothing 6 months and then again. So broadcast needs some consistency. So therefore, this Pro League has fulfilled that wish from broadcasters and also from the hockey world to have regular hockey. As you said, we have also had some key learnings in that season, clearly. So that's why, as you have seen, we have changed the schedule slightly to listen to player welfare, actually, of the intensity of travel and the number of travel, given the fact that we cut this in half by introducing now that actually Team A plays Team B twice at home, and then the season after, the Team B is traveling to Team A and playing them twice. So we cut this in half. It is clear also for hockey, it is an investment. It has been a big investment to put that up and to set this up and to make it happen with productions around the globe with 144 games, which had to be produced actually. So it's an investment, but for us it's a good investment because it's an investment in the promotion of the sport and increasing the awareness of the sport, and also for fans and for players. When you have listened to players on their interviews, which I did quite often after games, you had always 2 messages, clear messages. 1, fantastic event, fantastic game. Great to be in Australia now and play a game, whilst I only played a few days ago in Belgium, the national team, actually, or the club season. But on the other side, I'm tired. And this I'm tired, that was leading to the change of schedule, as I just described. But in principle, everybody, even the coaches, they have been quite nicely surprised and also positive about the Pro League. So for us, it's a lot of positives. Yes, we will need to adapt the schedule. We need to adapt our production, how we will produce. And we are actually, as we speak today, we have a production workshop with all the production companies from around the globe here in Lausanne. planned the 2020 season to make it a common look and to make it nice, and so that when you start to watch a game, you know this is a Pro League game. So all positive for us. We need again to align better and to make, you know, you have seen extreme full stadiums in some countries, some less people in some other countries. And that for me, if you ask me why has that happened, it's mainly based off shortage of time. Again, I started in April. The final decision was taken in September that we really go ahead with the Pro League the year after. And that doesn't give you a lot of time to promote, to do a ticketing plan, to do all what you should on a normal base do. That's what we have done this time. And that's why I'm convinced that all those changes will impact in a positive way actually what we will see on the field of play.
Okay, so will you be able to go out on a ledge and predict that we will have no more empty stadiums in Germany?
That would be wrong from my side to do. To be honest, I would not say we will. I can predict we will have no empty stadiums. I'm not sure if we will have complete packed stadiums. That's potentially the minor difference, I would say, to be honest. So we're reviewing with them. We're reviewing the ticketing plans. You know that in Germany currently we have selected 3 venues, or are they looking into 3 different venues? And not only Mönchengladbach, because also they have taken an agency on site which helps them to conduct the games. Mm-hmm. And I have personally spoken to them, to the agency. They have great experience. That was the agency who did the Indoor World Cup in 2018 in Germany, yes, which was a great success, to be honest.
Absolutely.
They know what they're talking and they know what they have to do to get more people in stadiums. But again,
okay, looks good. One of the goals of the FIH Pro League, apart from delivering some great sport to us, the fans, is also to deliver some revenue, because revenue is needed if you want to grow the sport globally. Okay, we can all understand that in a startup phase you don't make money from day one. So we can all understand that there will be losses even in an opening season. Can you already predict, based upon the plans that you have and the talks that you had with engaged partners, by what time it is reasonable to think that FIH Pro League will also be delivering revenue and profit for the FIH?
Yeah, you can imagine that we, after the first season, we have done our homework and we have created a business plan, actually a long-term business plan for the Pro League, because as you rightly said, when you do something like that, you invest money in it, and so it's not a break even, but it's an investment into the future. And then my board members and the world of hockey, normally they want all to know, okay, what is that going to happen? That we're losing money, or that we're investing only money, or we're breaking even, and when will we make money, actually, as you say, to actually help and to put more into development, which was one of the goals. I would not say it's the only goal, because the second goal, as I just mentioned, was definitely to promote better hockey, to have more consistency and more hockey from a highest level on screen, actually.
It would be a problem if it was only the only one goal. Eh?
Yeah, but sometimes when you get questions, you have the feeling that people, take this as the main goal, which definitely, in my view, promoting the sport is if we would be on a break even going forward and have Pro League, and by doing so we promote the sport better, this is already a great achievement. But our business plan has demonstrated that latest 22-23 will be profitable, will be actually generating revenue where we can then invest into development.
Okay, good. Moving on to another new event that was added last year to the calendar, the Olympic qualifiers. Well, it's not actually a new event, but it was an old event in a new format, which to my surprise, I must confess, was a big success. I was pretty. I had my doubts before.
We are two which have been extremely surprised because we are completely the same as you. I mean, I had a few discussions in board meetings analyzing the qualifiers as it has been planned, and I was actually saying we have to stop this. We cannot do this because having only 6 weeks between when the games have to be played and when the people will be known. This will only generate costs and will not generate any revenue because you cannot commercialize that.
No, absolutely.
But then having seen the success of the qualifiers, to be honest, the same as you, I was amazed and said, now we know we need to keep this kind of qualifier, but we need to change, or we need to make some small changes to allow us to be more commercially relevant, and that we can commercialize it, that it not only generate costs for us, because we have to produce all those games with no chance to commercialize it. And that's why when you have seen what we have announced in the last EB is that we keep this format of the final game actually, but allow us ourselves, as if I'm not mistaken, 7 or 8 months in between. From the time when the final games will be played in the confederations, and we will play these final games, we will have 8 months in between, which this will allow us actually to promote it and to do it and to sell it, to be honest. One key element, others, which I found a bit unfair, is that the bigger team, the best ranked team, were the host for the smaller teams who had to travel all the way to see them and to. That's
where we disagree. Still disagree, because this is one of the changes that I'm less happy about. Is that it is moving to a home and away instead of 2 home games. It's moving to a home and away game. And I understand the reasoning behind this, and from a sports kind of view, and from the lower ranked team, I understand their reasoning that they want a more fair chance of competing and playing a home game as well. On the other hand, I would say that the higher ranked team has done the investment in the past and have earned the right to a certain advantage in these kinds of games as well. But okay, that's less of a problem for me. The problem there, which I see, is it's going to add costs. It will make it more expensive for both countries, because now you have to organize one home event, which is an investment, which will cost money up front, and okay, you have ticket sales and you have a possibility of revenue there, but only for one game. So you don't know for sure that this will be a break even or a positive cash flow, and you have the cost of travel and.
But you see, that's exactly what we analyzed, and your analysis is quite accurate with all the elements you have mentioned, really accurate. But then, yes, do not underestimate actually, because that was the surprise to me as well on the success of the qualifiers, was not only the games, but also the interest on a last minute, which has been shown by broadcasters. So we have been on broadcast in Russia, we have been in Austria, we have been on live channels, to be honest. And then also potentially, from a commercial point, interest of local companies, which would have been interested to be part of this nice game, but the time was not given. So for me, it's a couple of aspects. I strongly believe that commercially you will be able to do something even when you play into the smaller countries. So Chile will find a few partners and sponsors. They will make ticketing because it's the most important game. Potentially there will be some broadcast revenue, whilst today they only had the price to pay for the tickets to fly there, to be honest. Another element which is quite important for me as well, when we go away from the price and from the money and from the thing, it's always experience. If those guys and promotion of the sport, if a Chile or an Austria can host a Germany, Austria would have host Germany in Austria for the final game, that would have made a massive impact, massive news in the country on hockey, to be honest. No. And experience of event conducting, of learning to have more important events, which clearly FIH will need to assist those countries, actually. So I see where you're coming from. And again, we have these discussions with the Pro League nations, because they also said, you know, we invest in the past and long term, and we're traveling already, and why should we do it again, to be honest? But don't underestimate the fact that we just have cut in half the travel of Pro League going forward. Yeah. And this is now, I hope I'm not saying a mistake, this is in 2 years once, no, in 3 years one time, one travel more.
One travel more in 3 years.
Yeah, so it's one travel more for the top teams in 3 years, which I have to say, I have been surprised that in hockey, a lot of nations, they still travel in addition to the Pro League for preparation games and for this. And so sometimes traveling, we have to be conscious, and we have to be careful about player welfare fully, because this is the artist on the pitch.
I absolutely agree. I have a son who's been playing. I have a son who's been playing with a broken arm for 6 months because of the heavy schedule. So
no, but that's why we said, you know, a lot of people said, let's maybe wait a second season to see should we change the first season. And I said, no, if we find out that this is not, we should not be shy to admit, okay, we tried, we have to change it, let's change it. Why not changing it for the good of athletes?
Let me add one more criticism on the Olympic qualifiers or the World Cup qualifiers, because at the qualifier tournament, the qualifier games, and this was one that really surprised me and really annoys me as well, is that for the men at least, I don't know for the women for sure, but for the men at least, the next qualifiers have been planned in the month of March. That is a big problem for every European country with a already full schedule of a European domestic league, where March is an important month for Germany, for Holland, for Belgium, for Spain, for all of these countries. I understand that it's not the case for every country around the world, and it's not all about the European view of the European setup, but still the European setup of club hockey is extremely important for the world of hockey.
No, I fully agree. And again, I said from the beginning, coming from a sport where the club structure is of tremendous importance. I mean, to be honest, and therefore I completely support the club structure in hockey, and I promote also the fact that more countries should have club structures, because that gives you the base, the foundation of the pyramid, actually. So we will not ignore, and we do not ignore the clubs at all. But also from the beginning, I said what we need to have a long-term calendar, international calendar. And this is not planning from 1 year to the next, but we should have the next calendar until 2024, at least soon. And therefore, I mean, also the Pro League, we're talking to the Pro League nations to make space within the Pro League to have those weekends which we announced in March, instead of Pro League, that we can use 2 weekends. How would that potentially work? Is that we were looking to have 10 weekends between January and June, where potentially all are part of, because it's an uneven number, all Pro League nations would play at the same weekend. First of all, to reduce the lengths and to give more space for clubs to play their normal club games, to be honest. And second importance there is as well that when half of the season is played, that it's not one team is already champions in Pro League and the other team has not played or have only played one. So that, you know, normal fans can also better follow where is the standing and where is the part of it. So we're working, and we will work together with the clubs in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in all the European countries to agree on an international calendar also incorporating this March window for the qualifiers of what, but not harming them, to be honest. I'll give you an example. This year in 2020 Pro League, we have kept the months of April or March. April completely empty in respect to the Netherlands and to the Belgium club competition, actually. Because this is the one most important, and then you have Europeans and so on and so forth. So we have said let's keep April completely empty for them.
Yeah. Okay. Tokyo is on the horizon. Obviously I understand that your feeling is that the World Cup should be the most important event for FIH or for the world of hockey. In reality, to this moment, I think that for players, the Olympics is still the absolute pinnacle of our game. So we're looking ahead at I hope for a wonderful event again. What are your expectations of the Tokyo Games for hockey?
That's good. Like for the qualifiers, it's good when people accept that sometimes World Cup. It's for me the most. It's one of the important. So I changed slightly my mind, having passed a few months here and understand a bit better of the Olympic movement and what a medal represents, and you're representing your country and you earn a medal for your country. So again, I revise a little bit my comment there clearly to say the beauty is in hockey you have two major events, not only like in other sports only one, which is the World Cup, but you have two major, which is the Olympics as well, to be honest, which will be a massive event, and you see how people preparing. Tokyo, having been at the test event, is a fantastic location, nearly in the center of Tokyo, with two fantastic venues, walking distance, so you can go from one game to the other to another one. For me, ticketing sales have started. They are doing extremely well. People are waiting now for us to announce the schedule. You know that we have now all the teams nominated last week. So everything is done. The plan to announce the schedule, it's around the 18th of December, more or less, minus of course 1 day or two, actually. So for me, now what was exactly your question? I lost a bit.
Just your expectations of Tokyo, but
my expectation is, again, it will be. I understand the importance in the meanwhile now of an Olympics, that people really looking to do so. I mean, having the host team in there is important as well, men's and women, which is great, and they even have qualified through their qualifiers and not just by the fact that they're being hosts. We have the best teams there. We have teams, men and women from each continent there, to be honest, which is also great, so that we have men's and women's South Africa participating in the Olympics. Okay. So we have every continent.
If I can enter into that, it's wonderful news that we had last week when the nations were announced, and that we saw that South Africa was among the nations for the women's as well, because what I understood is that the South African Olympic Association has their own criteria for sending a team or sending a player or an athlete or a team to the Olympics, and it's not because a team has met the FIH requirements that they will send the team, because that's what they did for Rio when the men were so cruelly denied the possibility of playing there. The women from South Africa did not meet the criteria set by the Olympic Association of South Africa themselves, but still they got confirmed. Is this a confirmation, or is this still something that's in the air that they could possibly return?
No, that's completely confirmed. It has been so you completely accurate with what you said as well. They said two criteria for qualifications. The men did, the women did only fulfill the criteria of FIH. So then last week there was a meeting held from the National Olympic Committee of South Africa, because they had a few different sports in the same situation, to be honest. And then, to my understanding, they decided which of those sports will now be allowed to go, not having fulfilled those two criteria. And luckily, I mean, for us, extremely important, I have to say, we were really waiting for this good announcement to say, okay, they will accept the women's as well. And so they did, and this is 100% confirmed.
Okay, perfect. That's good news. Let's talk about the global congress from FIH that was held more or less a year ago, where some pretty interesting announcements were made. Let's allow me to follow up on a couple of these announcements that were made. The first one was you talked about the development of waterless artificial pitches, and the goal was to have by Paris 2024, so the games after Tokyo, that our game would be played on a artificial pitch without any water, which is a very ambitious goal to my knowledge. Can you tell us a little bit about the status of this dry artificial pitch? Where are we in the development, and are we going to make it?
We are in the development, and yes, we're going to make it, to be honest. So that's when you say it's an ambitious statement, I know, and I have been asked by many people within hockey to say, are you sure? Is that not too much? Is that... you see Mike laughing a little bit next to me, and some others who played hockey. But I have to say, we're discussing a lot from a performance angle, from a player angle, from also the companies which could deliver that. So we have regular meetings, and we will have another big meeting in January where we will potentially also invite athletes, so players and coaches, to the table. Also, first of all, mission there is to exactly explain them why we made this decision. This should not be seen as a punishment to the athletes or to the sport or whatever you could feel it is, to be honest. But it's really for this sustainability, actually, and for this shortage of water, because we in Europe see it more and more every summer. It's getting more difficult. I mean, and restriction of waters, and I was told that also even in the Netherlands now, one club who always took the water from the river or whatever could not take it anymore, but they have now to purchase it, which is also a cost factor in the end of the day. So we will, from January onwards, we will make a couple of meetings with athletes, coaches, suppliers, just to see, okay, what has happened in the past. Okay, you have the sand field, the sand rest, you have the water-based, so on. What are the requirements which are essential for the game to continue to be played as it is? So some suppliers are confident that they will succeed in developing that in time. But again, the only I would not call it concern, but the only point they're making is asking for this kind of meeting with athletes, to be honest, because you have certain elements you can test, the behavior of a ball, how fast the ball goes, how he slides on the surface, but then you have the perception of playing, which is different again. And for us, and again, coming back to my point before, for me, the most important are the players, to be honest. Therefore, we need to involve them 100%, to be honest, in this development of this dry turf.
Okay.
But I had in the last EP meeting this November, because they have been in the world of hockey a little bit, some people saying you should stop talking about this, you should continue with water, you should maybe have less water, which is all acceptable for me, completely understandable, to be honest. So I tabled that point again and at the last EB, and I have to say, extremely good for me and for hockey and for the sustainability and the way forward. Every single EB member, regardless from which part of the world they are, they all confirmed and they all supported this initiative, and they say it has to happen. Okay. Because I got a few communications from 2012, from 2013, from 2014. That was long time on the list of waterless, and then it was always, okay, maybe it's not a short term, but we should do it in 6 years or in 7 years, and then...
Okay.
So my answer to this is, let's get all parties involved and let's make it happen.
Okay. If the goal is still then to deliver by Paris 2024, by what time do you think that we should have these pitches available for the different countries to start testing and to start playing on it? Because that it will, without a doubt, it will be different from the current field.
I think ideally our men's World Cup in 2023, January 2023, should be played on this dry turf, to be honest.
Okay.
And also for you to know that we will have the Dakar Youth Olympics
Senegal.
In Senegal in 22, which anyway has to be played on a dry turf. Because the conditions for us to continuously be part of this event was actually simplicity of installation and less requirements that we normally have for hockey, so that we can be part of this Youth Olympics in Senegal. So what we committed clearly to, and also supplier committed to, that we will provide a 5-a-side, this is played in 5-a-side, a 5-a-side dry pitch for Senegal anyway already. So that will be a good step in 22 to do the Youth Olympics on a smaller size, and then the men's World Cup in 23. So then you have a full 1.5 year in between to have the possibility for national teams to test and to try and to play.
But that means that normally by 2021, 2022, so in 1 or 2 years, suppliers will be able to deliver a dry artificial pitch in different countries.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, at least that we have some test runs, that we have some games being played on, because what will happen, I'm 100% sure, is that we will have some different surfaces but different suppliers, which we will then install and then make some runs like we did with the temporary pitch in England.
Yes.
So we will need to have some, and that's where also player involvement will be more and more important, to have a surface laid down and then a practice being done on it, and then to find which one is the better one, to be honest, and then use it in Senegal, Men's World Cup, and then Olympics.
Okay, good. Another project announced at the last Congress was FIH Live, which went live in January following the Congress. And if I'm honest, has been a big disappointment. Technically, if you see what was promised, it has not delivered what was promised. Okay, possibly there are still development going on, and there's a roadmap of all the things that were promised that will be delivered at a certain time. But at the moment, the FIH Live platform is nothing new. It's your own YouTube channel without any added features. Are the features that were announced during the Congress are still on the table? Is there a roadmap where the FIH Live platform will make steps and add something new for us, the viewers?
You're completely right. Again, there was a big announcement with a big vision. The vision is again still there. FIH Live, on one side, it's good that we have a channel, but we have also certain features which are not there, which are clearly required. And the key date for this new channel to be completely up to speed and there is March 2020.
So in a couple of months.
Yeah, in a couple of months. I mean, we tried to do this for the beginning of the Pro League season, but before doing something half and not proper again, we decided, to say, March will be the revamping, when we will launch the revamping. We're working on the revamping now, to be honest. But it will be March 2020 where we will launch the revamping, where you will have all the different features, to be honest, which have been promised.
Can you tell us a little bit about these features which will be there in March?
First of all, what is important for us is collecting data, which currently we do not. So the purpose of OTT is definitely that you start to know your fans, that you can communicate with your fans, that, what I want to do in future is, if a certain decision will have to be made, it's sure the executive board will play an important role, but I want to conduct some fans' opinions on that, to be honest. But therefore, I only don't want to have 100, but I want to have thousands or millions of people which we can contact for that. So data collection, it's important feature. We will have then highlights of the games there. We will have historical footage there, which you can have a direct access to it. We will have 6 different languages on it, to be honest. We will create content creation and hopefully people like yourself, you would be willing to come on it and comment certain things and give your opinion, not only in a typed one, but also with this nice smile you have.
I'm smiling because I'm not sure that you want me there, but
I definitely want you there, because life is not only created by all saying yes and we love you and so on and so forth. Life is also by some criticism or by productive criticism, to be honest. That's the best way how you can move forward. And then sometimes you have also to admit that you did a mistake and you learn from mistakes. So I have no problem at all with those kind of things. We will then also do part of it will also be under a paid kind of a pay-per-view, what content it will be. We will show all the different junior World Cups, indoor World Cups. This will be without restrictions on FIH Live, so you will have no geo-blocking any longer. This is also the purpose for talking to some of the national broadcasters we have on Pro League. If we can find an agreement with them that we could also have it on FIH Live, even if we will have to give them a share, if we then do it under under a payment system, that we give them a share. But what we found out is annoying. If you go to FIH Live and you see a black screen and it just says geo-blocked, to be honest, that's where we definitely are not good. At least it should have said, go on this and this channel in your territory and you can watch it and give some information, or having it audio that you can follow it by audio only potentially and not. So there are a lot of things which I fully agree with you, missing, which we need to do. And I think the list is quite long. If you have some specifics which you would like to see.
There are so many things that I would like to see. I think that will take us too far in this discussion. So let's move on. The last time we spoke, I was very happy that you confirmed that development would become the number one priority for the FIH. Or at least would become a visible number one priority for the FIH. So also during the Congress, Mike launched this Hockey 2024 Global Development Plan. So a year after this launch of the plan, where are we, Mike, with Hockey 2024? What has been accomplished?
Okay, you're sitting comfortably.
I'm sitting comfortably. Go on.
Okay, so let me go through it sort of step by step. But I guess beforehand, just to comment on some of the things that we've already talked about. So from a development perspective, but promotion and development go hand in hand. The reason that we do these things like the Pro League and the Olympic qualifiers and every other activity is because we're trying to promote and develop hockey. And these act as our shop window. We need people to be able to see top class hockey being played on a regular basis, because that attracts people to our sport and gets them to pick up a stick and start playing it. So from a development perspective, our job is to have a plan that optimizes the possibilities that shop window presents. So if you're talking about Tokyo, which was one of your questions about our expectations, the expectation is that we managed to grow and develop hockey in Japan. So we're working closely with JHA in order to do that. We're looking at involvement in the Olympic torch relay and other sort of pre-Olympic events and how hockey can optimize that. And then also looking at how we can do hockey initiation around the games, which we missed out on in Rio. We didn't really do much, but we now have a solid plan to do that there. But then also to engage not just the nations that are participating in the Olympics, but all of the others as well. So these are sort of, I guess, the behind the scene things that are happening. In terms of the specific areas that we talked about at Congress, and the promises we made. So we are, if you remember, we had 3 pillars. We had participation, education, infrastructure. Well, post Congress, we added another. We added inspiration. So we have some targets for that as well. So I'll talk about what we've achieved in the past year. So participation. Our objective is to increase participation by 250,000 by 2024. The impact that we had with our activities was around 68,000 in 2019. This includes our own events, but then also events delivered through Olympic Day. So we had 65 nations delivering participation activities through Olympic Day, which was our sort of single biggest impact. All of this was linked to Hockey for Life, and then the hashtag. So the major hashtag for 2019 was equally amazing. So if you go on social media and type in hashtag equally amazing, you'll find it's had a fairly big impact across the board, so from all stakeholders in hockey. As we move into 2020, we'll start to we'll obviously continue with that, but then also look at Hockey Dreams, which is youth development, so focusing on youth as we move forward. The other impact events, obviously coach education, Olympic solidarity programs, trying to get more nations competing. And I guess, Hockey Fives is one of those areas because we believe it makes it more accessible. If international teams are traveling, it's much easier to travel with a small squad. It costs a lot less. More nations can compete. You don't need a massive program in order to compete like you do with 11-a-side. Clearly indoor is part of that as well, and so we saw Nepal competed for the first time ever in international competition in the Junior Indoor Asia Cup. So indoor is very important as well. I know that's so let's take that. In terms of education, we had the biggest education program we've had to date. So we had 46 courses running, 760 individuals were certified through the programs from 59 nations. So that was really successful. We're looking to double that for 2020, so 100 courses. We also had a lot of athlete engagement, particularly around anti-doping. So we had a number of education booths around our events, a sort of direct connection with them. And then as we move forward, we're starting to look at safeguarding. So we've just introduced our new safeguarding policy. So we're looking at implementation of that. And then also anti-corruption. And then obviously continuing the anti-doping. Okay. So those areas have been quite a key focus.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
Absolutely. All very interesting and all very recommendable. But for me, if I, and this is a personal view, obviously, look at growing hockey. For me, growing hockey is very important to have two pillars. It is to have more infrastructure, more playing fields, whatever the surface, because I agree with the previous message also that hockey can be played on any surface, so grass, concrete, whatever, composite or artificial turf, but so have to have more infrastructure to be played on, and the second is obviously to have more players. And we had this discussion before as well. So what is the definition of a player? For me, I don't agree with if somebody comes into contact with hockey just once or twice and plays for a couple of times of hockey. That for me is not a player. For me, a hockey player is somebody who's playing the sport on a regular basis for many years. And on a regular basis throughout the year. Can you share with me if there have been if this is being measured for once, because that will not be obvious in most countries. Obviously, in countries like the countries where we live in Western Europe, it's pretty easy to ask the federations, okay, what are your registered members? That will not be the easiest in all countries. What is being done to start measuring this, and do we see growth in those two areas?
Yeah, so I think we talked this to death the last time. So I'll summarize. Otherwise Thierry's going to get start sleeping. So the summary is that yes, obviously we carried out a state of the game survey last year. So next year we'll carry out another state of the game survey based on the same
criteria,
figures, the same criteria, and then we'll see what the impact is. That's probably the easiest way to put it. Secondly, as I said, 68,000 impact from programs we've been involved in this year. Obviously, it's difficult to know whether they're new or existing. But clearly it's much easier to measure the impact of a particular program than it is to go out and start counting players. And I don't mean that from a FIH perspective. I mean that from even a club or a national association perspective. Some of them are very good at it, and some of them are not so good. Or some of them measure registered players, some don't measure casual players. I guess to put it into perspective, so FIFA, excuse me,
the wrong sport, but okay.
265 million players worldwide, 4% of the population apparently play football. If you were to ask them how many are actually registered or calculated, it's probably more like about 15-20 million. So they extrapolate. Every single sport extrapolates. So we're clear about what we're counting, but at the same time, you have to then balance the figures a little bit and work out, okay, well, what is the real impact of the sport? So when we talk about 30 million, obviously we're extrapolating based on what we can clearly measure. But yeah, bear with us for 8 months' time, and then we can tell you, and certainly when we come to the Congress, we'll be reporting the impact that it's had.
Okay. Let me just briefly come back on your first point, which has to be played or can be played on any surface. That's for me crucial, to be honest, because when you sometimes talk to hockey players, and I spoke to some French hockey players which told me they have to drive for 1.5 hours to have a training session. That can just not be. You must find, if you are a hockey lover, you must find a couple of friends that you can practice nearby, actually, and play your stick and a ball and play somewhere. But apparently, I don't know why it is in people's mind that you need this kind of turf, and more especially even sometimes with water, to be honest. So I think that is, in my view, that is where I fully agree with you. We need to increase this. But we have also to go, the first phase has, let's just have people fun. And then you will have a certain percentage of those people who will come to become a regular player. You know what you define as a player, which I agree with you. The rest is, for me, is just fun factor.
Absolutely.
But I think we're missing so many occasions. You have so many empty tennis courts in Germany, in France, in a lot of countries which are not used anymore. Will anybody start to think, wow, we could play hockey on that? Let's start to have a little hockey team. Definitely not, because in my view, it's just like this. It's in people's mind that you need this turf. I don't know, maybe with people like yourself, you will play an important role there to help us as well, to put this forward, to be really, to put football, have fun, get a stick and a ball and let's have fun. To be honest, what we will need to do as well is to define, when we're talking about turf, more and more. I'm now talking mainly the French area, because I know this a bit better than some others. But a lot of regional governments do install now some sport facilities for people, which is a turf surface.
Yeah.
But our turf surface currently is so specific. We need to make sure that people understand on a multi-sport turf, you can play hockey as well.
Absolutely, you can't play the international hockey that we want, but for everybody, it's possible to play hockey there.
Players Barcelona or the Dutch, the German national team or the Dutch national team in football, they will not play on a third Liga, but that's not the purpose. And that's why a lot of sometimes when I mention those kind of things, people feel I want to change the elite sport, which is not at all. The elite will always remain to play on the best surface, and we see in 24 who was right or wrong from the elite, if I or others or not or whatever. And then it's time for me to. But I'm sure we will achieve it. But the rest can be played, and sometimes your technique becomes better if you play on a bumpy road than actually if you only play on a smooth surface. To be honest.
No, absolutely agree. What development plans were implemented in countries, or how many countries, where there was nothing before in last year? Do you have any numbers on that?
So a number of the countries involved in the TAP programs didn't have hockey before, or they had hockey before, but it died off. And had started again. So in particular, TAP East Africa, which was launched in 2019. So based around Kenya, but 7 different nations involved in those. So it's like Rwanda, for example, has started playing hockey as part of that program. But then also all of the TAPs that we announced at Congress last year have gone ahead. So we mentioned Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, East and Southern Europe, which we added also Greece, the revival projects of Greece through EHF, Pacific Islands, the Caribbean, and then also Senegal, which we didn't announce because at the time the Youth Olympic Games hadn't been announced. So that's an additional one. So at the moment we're looking at potentially 4 or 5 new nations at the Congress
to join the FIH.
To join the FIH, of which obviously Senegal will be one of those, and quite importantly because of the Youth Olympic Games. I guess at this point, what I would say, and maybe this is lost on the audience sometimes. We invest $1.1 million per year into continental federations to enable them to deliver projects and to run their operations. That has not changed. It's increased over the years, but it's not changed because of Pro League or because of anything else that we do. It has a big impact. You can see a lot of the work that the continental federations are doing, but I think maybe sometimes people miss the point that actually that's also a shared impact by us because we're the ones investing in it.
Okay. Talking about that, in very rough numbers, I think that FIH has a revenue more or less about $15 million every year, which mainly comes from IOC funds. So you claim now we FIH invests more or less little over $1 million every year into global development through continental federations or to direct projects. Will this percentage of your revenue spent on development rise, and by how much in the future?
You said 15.
More or less, yeah?
Yeah. So first of, 15 million. It's clear it would be nice if the majority comes from IOC, but that's not the case. It's
a lot.
It's quite okay. It's quite okay, to be honest, and definitely this is important to get this from IOC. From a development point of view, what is the percentage we will spend going forward? It's, as I said always, an international federation is only there for one good reason, is to earn money and then to reinvest it into development, to be honest. It's just a matter of what do you really count as a development subject.
Yeah, because I think that we have...
Comparing now this 1 million described by Mike, which is a clear target towards the CFs, which they can use and they had at their disposal, to be honest. But there is then development which we do ourselves. Me, honestly, for time being, Pro League is part of development of the sport as well, to be honest. So, what would you count today on the development and what will be there? It's hard for me to give you a figure. Is this 50%? Should that become much more? I can only guarantee you every penny we will make going forward, we will invest into the sport.
Okay, let me rephrase the question then, or pose a different question to the similar subject. Is yes, I think that we have. I partly agree with your views on it. What is development? My feeling or my fear is that there's a little bit too much attention going to growing the number of fans instead of growing the number of players. How would you divide? I understand both have to happen. I understand.
No, it's just, and we had just a week ago we had a seminar with ASWAF with all the summer sports. Where, on the commercial side as well, and then the discussion was, what do you need to do first? Increase players or increase fans? And my answer to that audience was clearly, I would not separate it, because a fan can be a player, and a player should and has to be a fan. And to increase the players, if I get somebody attracted to the sport by the fact that, I don't know, you have now a Hockey 5 in the square in Amsterdam, you have people going by and they see the sport and they say, wow, that's quite good, it's physic, it's athletic. And what is, I mean, maybe in the Netherlands it's not the most attractive one because everybody knows what it is, but you go somewhere in Paris and you do an event in Paris, or you go to the court of Roland Garros and you have a hockey game being played there, and you have new people seeing the sport, so they become first, for me, a potential fan. They see what the sport is, and then hopefully by seeing the beauty of the sport, and you have out when they go out some sticks at their disposal where they can try to hit the ball, that's where they become players.
So
for me, I would not go, now we concentrate fully on players, or we concentrate fully on fans. Let's concentrate on get more people knowing the sport, and then also more people practicing the sport.
Okay. Staying on topic with the Olympics, and Paris is also around the corner in just a couple of years now. And we are confirmed for Paris, so we don't have to worry about it. Everybody will play hockey in Paris 2024. As I understood, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, the sports on the roster for LA 2028 will be confirmed in just a couple of months normally. Is hockey going to be there, or And by hockey, I mean obviously hockey 11 versus 11, the game that we played today. And what is being done to make sure that our 11-a-side hockey is still going to be there for LA and afterwards on the Olympic roster?
Clearly, yes, I have personally, because when I joined FIH, I got this also from some people saying, yeah, with introducing fives, we have to be careful that, this is not going to replace hockey 11s, especially on Olympics and also, in other competitions. So I personally went to the IOC and asked if there is any intention or reducing, because what we're talking about potentially a case of not having hockey at all, which is clearly hockey is part of it and hockey will start of it. Okay, what we need to do the right things. We need to promote our sport. We need to increase our numbers on social media, on our website, on Facebook, on demonstrating that our sport becomes more and more relevant. And that's where we are doing extremely well. And I can also ask Nicola to share some figures with you later on what we have done in increasing on social media and where we are. So we need to continue to do the right things for our sport, to promote it, to get more players, to get more fans, to be more engaged with people. But there is clearly no danger, not for LA and not going forward. And the same for me, there is no, because the next question then has to be, is IOC looking to reduce the number of athletes? Because that's where a team sport affects quite the number of athletes, which you could say, okay, if you kick out one team sport, potentially you can have a lot of other athletes coming from other sports. There is also no danger at all on 11-a-side, to be honest, from that perspective. Hockey fives will not replace 11-a-side. I mean, my personal wish is that we will be as successful as some other sports did, that we will have, one day hockey 11s, and then we get more medals by hockey 5s competition in there, to be honest.
Okay, so where I agree with you is that possibly adding a short format to the game would be good if we confirm and are reassured that it will not harm the traditional 11-a-side game, because for me that is still the core of our game. Because we are not roller hockey, we're not ice hockey, we're not floorball, which are all forms of hockey that have different federations. And no, we are hockey, we are 11-a-side game. But yeah, okay, if a short format has use in different areas, development, and I absolutely agree there. But then again, I would say, okay, yeah, why invent a new short format with hockey fives and not use the existing short format of indoor hockey and rebrand it, because indoor hockey can be played on many surfaces, can be played indoor, can be played outdoor, and maybe then some of the specifics of indoor hockey might have to change. But okay, that is inherent to our game of hockey, that we are open for innovation and small rule changes, for just as long as it doesn't affect the core of our sport. So why hockey fives and not, for instance, indoor hockey or a variation of indoor hockey?
In all honesty, because I just see over time it will become one. I'm completely convinced. But I do believe if you want to force now, because your good point was a slight change of indoor rules. I was just told, again, it was before my time, I was just told there was some attempt to change some rules in indoor, which took some countries 5 weeks, and they went back to the old rules, to be honest.
Because they were bad changes, but yeah.
I don't know. So that I'm completely the wrong person to discuss good changes, bad changes. No. It's not me, because I'm not.
This happened in outdoor hockey as well.
No, but that's why. But for me, the best thing, and then I came. Hockey fives was on the table, promoted for a long period of time, but not activated. I clearly see an important thing in hockey fives in a short form. Let's call it just short form. Short form with a flexibility of size of field of play, which is important for me as well, that we do not start to restrict us. We cannot go in that area or in that part or in this because the size is not fitting to the described size. So for me, it's a short form outside and we have a short form indoor. And I hope and I expect that this within 2-3 years, we will have one format. But sometimes if you want to change one side or the other side, to be honest, you get some resistance. Most probably people will find out themselves if some indoor players start to play hockey fives during summer. Potentially that's where they will find out what's the best of both, and then we can get a combination and have one format.
Okay.
With your help, for sure, with your help as well, we will get to.
I'm not sure that I will ever help you with hockey fives, but
but you can definitely when you have seen it and you please give me your comment and your feelings and your proposals.
Okay.
Which definitely it's important for us to get.
Okay. That leads to my last question. If I'm sorry, Mike,
yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get a bit lost in this idea that the term hockey fives has become this monster
cursed.
in some fields. But then we're quite happy to talk about modifying indoor rules and allowing it to be played outside and maybe lifting the ball and hey maybe removing the circles and hey maybe and then suddenly become hockey fives. I think, yes, let's have the discussion about the particular rules within the game because, let's face it, we've been doing that with 11-side for the last 100 years. So, yes, let's have discussion about the individual rules. But the idea of having a short format that, for many, many development reasons, is a positive move. I don't understand the argument against. So I think, yes, let's discuss those individual rules, but let's not just think, hockey five, suddenly it becomes this horrible term that's going to alienate anybody that loves indoor because of a decision that was made a few years ago that upset some people and perhaps was the wrong decision. But hey, let's move on.
Taking this into account, I had a talk a couple of weeks ago with one of the most renowned high performance directors in the world, Adam Commons, who had a criticism towards FIH. Obviously, has a lot of good to say as well, but one of his criticisms was that, and this added to my own feeling about the structure that exists today in FIH, and then I'm meaning the core decision-making group within FIH is the executive board. No, you don't agree? Well, you're shaking your head. No, people listening in can't see it, but Thierry Weil is shaking his head. But okay, let me finish my point, and you can counter. For me, the core decision group is the executive board. Is where decisions are made and confirmed and implemented. The current executive board is by large composed with administrators, so people who come from national federations or for continental federations or in the international federation themselves. There is one, I believe, representative for players involved, but there are no representatives. But for me, on an individual level, there are 5 typical roles in hockey. You have the players, you have the coaches, you have the officials, you have the administrators, and you have the fans. So fans are represented by CEO of the FIH because this is a marketing position, and they represent the fans. The administrators are by large represented in this executive board. There's only one player, former player, who's in there, but coaches and officials do not have a official seat at the table. One that I even might add, but I guess it's not valid for every country throughout the world. Another very important player is the clubs. They also don't have a seat at the table where these decisions are made. Should we not have a representative from coach, a representative for player, a representative from officials, a representative from clubs, alongside the administrators and the composition of the current executive board?
I think that's most probably the structure what we have. As you know, we have the committees where the committees do all the recommendations to the executive board for the key decisions. So that's what we're trying to do within the committees, so that you have the officials committee, you have the competition committee, you have the rules committee, you have the good governance, you have all those committees which have the experts of the different continental confederations being part of those committees and meeting. They have just met a couple of 2 months ago here in Lausanne, the competition and the rules and the officials committee, to discuss all the potential changes or requirements or ideas, which then this is being brought forward to the executive board as a suggestion for ratification, which, to my knowledge, from the short time I'm here, 99%, I don't even remember the 1%, it's always followed the recommendation from the committees and from the recommendation of the committees, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But this is just, that's why I was shaking my head when you said it's only taken by the executive board. It's mainly and always taken by the executive board based on a recommendation by the special committees which we have with the representatives.
Okay, but so my feeling, and the feeling that I get from a lot of people I talk to, and obviously this is within my world and my environment, which is not, okay, it's international, and I talk to a lot of people from different parts of the world, but I recognize that I have a strong European view on things, obviously, because this is where I live and this is where I experience my hockey. But one of the criticisms that we have is that there is not enough influence from players and not enough influences from coaches or high performance directors in decisions that are being made. Is this something that you agree or experience yourself, or?
Yeah, but again, and forgive me if I do a little mistake in attributing some quality to some board members. If I did so, it's not any purpose and it's not done with any political reason behind that. But you have Shabazz, who is an ex-player, which everybody knows, actually. You have Michael Green, which is a player, which is part of the board. You have Roger, which is the player representative. You have Tayyab Ikram, who is a coach.
International coach. You have Eric Cornelsen, who is a player, actually.
No, but I understand that all these people who are in there used to be players, and some of them used to be players at top level, absolutely. But yeah, things change in the world of hockey, and I do not want to diminish the capacities of people like Michael Green, especially, and even Shabazz and others who have a wonderful career behind them. There's one player in there who has had recent experience. That's Rogier Hofman from the Netherlands. But yeah, that's just one voice, and the junior voice as well in the board. But that is I
think if your question is, should all these stakeholder groups have an influence in the decision making that we make, then there's no question they do. If you're saying, is there current players, current officials sitting on the board, well, that comes down to the election process and the nominations from national associations to put forward to that board. But there's no question that when it comes to development and education, for example, we have a development and education committee, and there's people who sit on that. But also the programs that we're developing, and you mentioned Adam, so I'll give you an example. So the Hockey for Life program, same name, which is the Belgian development system, and the B Gold program, which is the talent performance program, which is partially administered by Michel Kinnan, who advises on many of the things that we put together as part of our high performance programs. That influence, that impact is there. And also we listen. You might not think we do, but we listen to what you're saying, and things can't change overnight because they don't, but we do listen. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we think you're wrong, sometimes we think you're right, and we make changes on that basis, but we always consult with these people. In the next few weeks, I believe the high performance managers from the Pro League nations will get together, and John will sit with them and he'll ask questions exactly like this and ask for their feedback. Of course, sometimes they disagree, but their input is listened to, and it shapes the decisions that we make.
Okay, guys.
And just coming back on this, it's really important for me because, again, one of my major goals is definitely to get a little bit away from this perception from people to say this is a bunch of idiots sitting in Lausanne making decisions which they have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Sometimes.
Sometimes they do, I agree, but therefore I have to admit, I would love the fact that if this gentleman, I don't know him personally, or maybe I met him or not, this Adam Cummins. Yeah, if he feels sad about certain decisions, or I mean, I can give everybody, I can do it now here on the mic, my mobile phone number.
Don't do that.
And those guys can call me anytime, to be honest. And if there will be sufficient people, I'm happy to have a forum with clubs, coaches, high performance guys, to have a forum next year wherever it's more convenient for people, if we do it by region or whatever, where I personally will attend, sit on a table and debate and discuss all potentially way forward, because the major goal for me is to help hockey, to grow hockey, and to not change anything for those who love hockey, actually. So for people like yourself, to have you next to me soon, that you say, okay, I understand some decisions are not as I 100% wish them to be, but I understand the sense, and let's monitor, and if changes need to be made, give me a call, and then we will consider it, and then we'll table it, to be honest.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for your time today. We've touched on different topics, and I appreciate your openness to discuss this. So I hope that we get the opportunity soon to discuss the way ahead and the progress that we have made as a sport in the near future again.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Hans. Thank you.
Okay, guys, bye. Thanks very much, and talk to you soon again. Thanks for tuning in to Studio Hockey. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, and as always, enjoy your hockey. Bye-bye.